For decades, he was one of the most powerful and respected voices in all of Christianity, reaching millions with his defense of the faith. But the story of Ravi Zacharias is really one of two extremes, a truly brilliant message and a deeply broken messenger. So let's get into his work and his very complicated legacy. For a long, long time, Ravi Zacharias was an absolute giant in the world of Christian apologetics. He inspired millions of people, engaging not just believers, but also some of the most hardened skeptics with this incredible blend of sharp intellect and genuine empathy. His entire life's work really came down to one thing: building a defense of the Christian faith that was intellectually solid, emotionally in tune, and culturally aware. See, he wasn't just out to win arguments. He wanted to win hearts and minds. Now, apologetics, which is just the defense of the faith, it can sometimes feel a little dry, a bit academic. But Zacharias, he completely changed the game. He made it passionate, accessible, and something you could really connect with on a personal level. So, what was his secret sauce? Well, his unique style was this amazing combination of two things. On one hand, he had this serious intellectual rigor. He wasn't afraid of the tough questions. In fact, he welcomed them. But on the other hand, he spoke directly to the heart, using stories, literature, and history to connect emotionally. It was this mix of head and heart that made him just so compelling. And his whole approach was built right on this verse. For him, defending the faith was never about some aggressive, in-your-face debate. It was about engaging people with gentleness and with respect, mixing real confidence with a deep humility. Okay, so he built his entire apologetic system around a central idea: that any worldview that's actually coherent and livable has to give good answers to four fundamental questions. Questions that, let's be honest, every single one of us asks at some point. And here they are, the four big pillars: origin, meaning, morality, and destiny. Zacharias argued that any worldview, any philosophy, any religion, if it's going to hold water, it has to give you consistent, logical answers to these four questions about life. Now, here's the kicker. Zacharias wasn't just presenting Christianity as one good option among many. His claim, and it was a bold one, was that Christianity is the only worldview that offers truly consistent and deeply satisfying answers to all four of those questions, from our origin to our ultimate destiny. And while the impact was just immense, his organization, RZIM, it grew into this massive global movement. Through his books, his lectures, all his talks, he equipped countless Christians to feel confident in their faith and really pushed a lot of skeptics to give Jesus another look. But this is where the story takes a very difficult and, frankly, very painful turn. The brilliance of the message started to get overshadowed by the deep failings of the messenger. After he died, his legacy was profoundly and permanently complicated by a series of devastating revelations. And it stands as a really sober warning for all of us. After he passed away in 2020, credible and extensive reports of serious sexual and spiritual abuse came to light. And these actions caused an incredible amount of pain and did serious damage to the Christian witness. And the Bible itself is crystal clear on this. Spiritual leaders are held to a much higher standard. And this failure is just a stark, painful reminder of that divine accountability. So, how in the world do we process all this? Well, the discussion has really shifted to this enduring lesson, one that forces us to make a distinction between the message and the messenger. The argument goes like this. The Bible is absolutely filled with examples of God using deeply imperfect people to carry out his perfect plan. I mean, we're talking about figures like King David, the Apostle Peter, even the Apostle Paul. The truth of God's message was never dependent on the messenger being morally perfect. And this is exactly why his teachings, at their very best, continue to hold real value for so many. They aren't rooted in his own authority. They're rooted in the authority of Scripture. They provide tough answers to tough questions. They insist on the historical reality of the resurrection. And ultimately, they point people away from Ravi Zacharias and toward Jesus. And that right there gets to the absolute heart of it. The power of the gospel has never, ever depended on the perfection of the people who share it. It has always been, and it will always be, centered on the perfection of Christ. And that leaves us with a really profound question, one that goes way beyond just one man's legacy. In any field, How do we handle the work of a brilliant but deeply flawed person? How do we separate a powerful idea from its broken author? That's a tension we all have to wrestle with.